Um, Thank you very much for Amy and Mohammed for inviting us to come to the UTutor presentation this afternoon. Thank you. It was a great honor to be invited, and it was great listening to a lot of the presentations so far, and learned a lot. Going to learn a lot more as time goes by. I'm here to represent Bubl Technology, and what I'm going to do is sort of, what I like to do is move into a little inception story where Bublcam started. So there's a cute little inception story related to one of our founders. His name was Sean Ramsey. And his daughter was talking with his grandmother on, her grandmother on her FaceTime. And her grandmother, of course, being, not so technologically savvy, ended up being out of the screen. And his daughter started scrolling, typical iPhone user or iPad user, started scrolling. Well, why can't I see grandma? And this is where Sean Ramsey basically said, well, why can't we scroll around the whole scene and catch up with grandma? So this was the sort of inception point for Bubl Technology. He went out and found another co-founder. His name was Dan Mills, who was a photogrammetry expert. And he's sort of, I would say, top 10 renowned photogrammetry expert within the world. So we went from concept in 2012, founded in 2013, and they brought on a marketing expert named Mark and an operations expert named Greg. And that was what spawned the organization Bubl Technology Limited. So what were the original goals? Capture real world similar to how people experience it. And to do it not in a very prohibitive manner. So it couldn't cost a lot. At the time that Bublcam came out, there were a few other competitors out in the market. They were costing anywhere from $10,000 to $80,000 for a Nokia product, which is still considered the creme de la creme. But still, who can afford $80,000 unless you're a big powerhouse marketer or developer, movie maker. So we also had to do this so that it could be done easily. Okay, generally at the time when this was being worked on, you would take quite a number of photographs and you spend a lot of time manually stitching the photos together. So the founders said, okay, let's bring in this team and we're going to use some algorithms basically to look at basically the overlap between the camera, as you can see it there, look at the overlap of the images and basically stitch it together. So let's talk briefly about some of the different ways of looking at spherical. 360-degree cameras, quite a number of you are probably aware of it when you run through the Samsung store. They are constantly promoting their Samsung gear. They have a 2-lens camera that does a spherical, very similar to our product as well. However, there's a lot of cameras out there that do 360, and there's a few other cameras out there that do basically a hemisphere. Imagine a dome. Our particular product does a picture or a video of everything all at once. Okay. Why does no blind spots matter? Well, as a human being, when we turn our head left, right, up, down, our view changes, and therefore we don't really have any blind spots. So this gives us the whole scene. And basically, when you're viewing things in this sort of segment of the virtual reality continuum, it sort of confirms or comforts you that, yes, this is something real, this is something that is believable. So, what does our Bublcam do? Well, it takes 4 pictures, or 4 frames if you're talking video, all at once, basically, and it produces what you see on the left of the screen, what we call a multiplex media. So basically, each one of those sub-scenes within the media is basically represents each lens and sensor. Well, that's interesting. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat, but it's very hard to digest. So then basically it was, well, how do you stitch this together? And that's where Bubl developed this Bubl Explore app, which I'll be demonstrating in a few minutes. And basically, what you see on the right-hand side of the screen is the stitched together media. This app basically does this on the fly in your cell phone, on your iPhone, your Android device, or a tablet. Also on computers, but generally it's focused on mobile devices. Okay, so this is basically a little snapshot from our actual app that we use, and you can see that it covers a whole lot of the Rogers Centre at a baseball game. A couple other little side notes we have to include. How do we figure out how to stitch all these pictures together, the 4 pictures together? Well, there's algorithms running in the background, a whole suite of software that basically says, all right, let's find some common features. Let's make sure that these pixels match each other. And then basically develop the formula to, no problem, develops the formula to basically say, okay, application or a mobile app that's using it, here's how to put the picture together so that it looks basically seamless. And that's the secret sauce, and probably one of the most important things that Bubl has developed internally. A little bit background on, overall it's called extended reality. Everyone's probably fairly familiar with virtual reality, computer-generated worlds. Mixed reality, and the MR, is basically take the real world, take an artificial world, an engineered world on your mobile app, and basically they act in concert. And then augmented reality is basically your Pokemon Go, is your augmented reality. So at this point, I need to move into an actual demo, and hopefully everything will work out. All right, here's our cloud infrastructure. Basically holds a whole ton of photographs, and basically every photograph that anybody takes and shares through WeChat or Facebook or YouTube, etc. Basically, it has to go up through the cloud and basically gets converted into a standard format that's basically set by our friends at Google several years ago. So I'm going to just see if I can start up our connection. Of course. So at the moment I'm trying to connect to the Bublcam here, as you can see. There we go. And look at that. Just happened to get it lined up just on me right off the bat. Doesn't happen too often. As you can see, you can scroll all the way around, up, down, all rounds, zoom out, zoom in, etc., etc. Which, you know, when I first joined Bubl, I was like, wow, that is really cool. Of course, lost it again. Basically, from here, we can, when I get this connected, of course, when you really start getting adept at using the Bublcam, you rarely use the app to do it, but I have to use the app to demonstrate things. Because the button that you see on the front of the camera actually does do all the activity that you would care to do. Let me try this again. All right, my apologies for glitchiness here. All right. All right, well, I guess we're not going to see the live stream today. So basically, within our application, I'm basically going to pull up images from the Bublcam that is right here on my right. Okay. Now within that, so basically I can pull up a photograph taken earlier today, just before this event started, and you can see that you can do exactly the same things as before. As well, you can upload this information into your mobile device, and as I said, ultimately, you want to move a lot of this information up to the Bubl, up to our cloud infrastructure, which ultimately is where you store stuff. And there's this funny little thing that I think is really neat. And they call this Little Planet. We actually have a competitor who, one of their president is actually a world-renowned photographer for doing little planets. But it's a pretty nifty little thing. Something I just like adding. Okay. So basically, as you can see, you can upload, download, extract, share this information. For instance, if I wanted to share this particular thing, click the button, and you can choose to send it by mail, Facebook, WeChat, etc. Okay. Now, one important thing that I really didn't talk a whole lot about is a calibration process. For the camera to piece together how to play this images and make it look almost seamless, there's an awful lot of computational stuff going on that we wanted to do on the camera, but the cameras just aren't capable at this point. They're not enough. The camera's too small to hold that sort of data power or computing power. We basically ship this information up to the cloud to take care of. We call this image realignment, and basically you choose your image. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Wrong way around. Anyway, we'll move along. So one other thing that I wanted to share. So basically, you can see that you can scroll around. Oh boy. Let's choose this one. We can basically scroll around, but at the same time, the idea is that this is supposed to be basically, you can work it into your environment, you can switch it around, and ultimately, everyone's headed towards this. Everyone wants to be able to see this in virtual reality. Put on your headset and experience as close to fully immersive as you can. Eventually, ourselves and the competitors will move to a stereoscopic sort of three-dimensional thing where the experience will become really, really impressive. And as somebody pointed out earlier today, this is something that you can use with students for virtual field trips. There is more and more content being developed and shared online. And basically, everyone's basically producing these equirecs from their cameras, and the content out there is fantastic now. There's an awful lot of media giving it attention, and the product is basically moving along at close to light speed, and we're now seeing computer systems that can deal with all the computational power, which we were having a lot of trouble with on system on chips, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, that's our demo. One extra little story I wanted to add. Where is this being used? Well, one of our biggest use cases is Pacific Gas and Electric down in California. They actually use our camera to stick into their electrical vaults. Saves them sending out two people, saves somebody going down into electrical vault and potentially getting electrocuted. And once in a while, our camera gets completely razzed by these electrical vaults. So far, they've all come out okay, just need recalibration. Other use cases have been security. It's quite intuitive to understand. Being able to see a whole lot of something all at once would be beneficial. Again, We've had people like the New York City Transit have been using our camera to index all their tunnels and monitor their assets. And we see quite a number of construction companies actually using our cameras to document progress, where things are happening, et cetera, et cetera. And that pretty much sums up Bubl Technology. I think we hit the milestone. I'm sure everyone's dying to start their weekend. So thank you very much for your time.